UFC Fight Night Vettori versus Cannonier is this weekend. I'm going to give you a full card prediction breakdown starting from the early prelims to the main event. We have a 14 fight card this week, so we're going to be running through this one. Should be a very entertaining card, actually. Just now looking at it, running through the card, doing the study and all that for it. There's some really good fights on this card, some solid names as well. I feel like a lot of these fights could go either way. But starting off with one that I don't think will go either way is Modestas Bukauskas versus Zach Pauga. I can never say this name. Bukauskas, 14-5, 29 years of age, 78 inches of reach. Pauga, 6-1, 35 years of age, 76 inches of reach. Bukauskas will have a 2-inch reach advantage in this matchup. Bukauskas, I believe, got cut after the Khalil Roundtree fight. I think he got his knee absolutely destroyed in that matchup. Came back after going on a 2-fight win streak, and Cage Warriors beat Lee Chadwick, beat Chuck Campbell by KO there as well, and then came back, fought Tyson Pedro on short notice and beat him by a decision. And Tyson Pedro actually looked really good right before then. And Modestas Bukauskas pretty much just beat him by decision on a short notice there. Zach Pauga was on the Ultimate Fighter Season 30, fought Muhammad Usman as the finals there, and then lost by KO. I thought he was going to win that matchup, but then I picked him to beat Jordan Wright, but guess what he did? Jordan Wright, a hit-or-miss fighter, pretty much in that division, should have went out there and KO Jordan Wright. Instead, he kind of just held him up against the fence that whole entire fight. So I'm going to go with Modestas Bukauskas in this matchup. He beat Tyson Pedro. I don't think he'll be able to be held against the fence the entire fight, kind of like what Zach Pauga did. Maybe he can KO Zach Pauga, but I think he wins this one by decision. 85% of Tapology agree with me as well. I just think Bukauskas is actually a really solid fighter in all honesty, and I think he does really well in this matchup. So let's move on. Up the card, we have Ronnie Lawrence versus Daniel Argueta. Lawrence 8-2, 31 years of age, 70.5 inches of reach. Argueta 9-1, 29 years of age, 70 inches of reach. Lawrence will have a half-inch reach advantage here. His last matchup was a loss to Salikhov Kakhramonov, which is no longer in the UFC, or he's no longer in the UFC after losing to, I think, Saeed Nurmagomedov. I want to say he lost to Saeed Nurmagomedov. Let me check this real quick, just so I'm not wrong here. But yeah, he lost to Saeed Nurmagomedov, beat Rafael Costa at XMMA there. But Ronnie Lawrence, a really good fighter, beat Mana Martinez by decision before then, beat Vince Cachero by KO, and then beat Jose Johnson on the Contender Series. Dan Argueta beat Nick Aguirre in his last fight, lost to Damon Jackson by decision, which is interesting. He's moving down to bantamweight in this matchup, and then beat Diego Silva by split decision on LFA. I think I'm going to go with Ronnie Lawrence in this one. Dan Argueta is going down to the bantamweight division in this matchup. Ronnie Lawrence, a very good fighter. What I am worried about this one when choosing Ronnie Lawrence is Salikhov Kakhramonov. Although he doesn't look too much physically bigger, he is a lot stronger than a Ronnie Lawrence, and he was able to control him with his wrestling. And Dan Argueta is a very thick and stocky dude. So I think that might be a little bit of a worry with my prediction here, but I think Dan Argueta, even at featherweight, he was kind of tiring out a little bit more. I think with the weight cut, obviously he's got to cut some more weight here, and I think he might tire out a little bit more just going at the pace of Ronnie Lawrence. I think Lawrence will be better on the feet. Lawrence is also, of course, very talented on the ground, and I think he just tires out Argueta after the first round, and it's very, very successful in the later rounds in this one. So I'm going to go with Ronnie Lawrence by a 29-28 decision, winning the round 2 and round 3. I think Argueta does have some early success, but I think Lawrence defending some of the takedowns does tire out Argueta in this matchup. So that's why I'm going to go with him in this one. Tapology agrees 75% for this one. Up the card, we have Tereza Bleda versus Gabriela Fernandes. Bleda 6-1, 21 years of age, 71 inches of reach. Fernandes 8-2, 29 years of age, 67.5 inches of reach. Bleda will have a 3.5-inch reach advantage in this matchup. Bleda making her UFC debut after going on the Contender Series against Nayara Maya, which she won by decision, lost to Natalia Silva by KO. Gabriela Fernandes on her UFC debut lost to Jasmine Jasudavicius by unanimous decision. Tereza Bleda is actually a really good prospect coming into the UFC. Sadly, she kind of got Natalia Silva, and Natalia Silva actually looks really good. So I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing either. She's 21 years of age. I believe she did beat Where can I find this? Lucy Pudilova, an exhibition match on Octagon Underground 3 in 2020. So that's a UFC fighter right there. I think that was right after she got cut as well. So Tereza Bleda I think she'll do really well on the ground here and win this one by decision, but it is women's MMA. But I do actually think Bleda is actually a very solid women's MMA prospect. Minus 275 favorite here. We'll see what happens, but I think she's going to be able to control on the ground and win this one by decision. Up the card, we have Felipe Bunes versus Zhalgas Zhumagulov. Bunes, 13-6, 33 years of age, 71 inches of reach. And Zhumagulov, 14-8, 34 years of age, 66.5 inches of reach. Felipe Bunes will have a 4.5 inch reach advantage in this one. Felipe Bunes making his UFC debut. Last fight was a win over Yoma Horiuchi by KO. Zhalgas Zhumagulov had a rough run of decisions, kind of. Lost to Charles Johnson by split decision, which was a very rough robbery. A very, very rough robbery in his last matchup. I think he was contemplating retirement after that one. Lost to Jeff Molina by split decision. Lost to Manel Kape by KO. Beat Jimmy Rivera by submission. And lost to Amir Albazi by decision. So Zhalgas Zhumagulov is not a bad fighter at all, but I am going to go with Felipe Bunes in this one for my first underdog on the card. I think he's actually really solid on the feet. Really good on the feet, actually. He's really unique on the feet. There's a lot of kicks in general. Has a really nice spinning back kick. But he is kind of hittable on the feet, but I don't think Zhalgas Zhumagulov is going to be able to touch him too much on the feet, or at least hurt him. I think he's good at defending some of the takedowns as well. Pretty solid on the ground as well. I am going to go with Felipe Bunes by a decision here. I don't think he gets the KO over Zhalgas Zhumagulov and his little haircut he's got now. But 70% for Zhumagulov in this matchup. I'm going to go with Bunes. I think he's going to be better on the feet. I think he's going to win the decision here in this matchup. Of the card, we have Carlos Hernandez versus Dennis Bondar. Hernandez, 8-2, 29 years of age, 67 inches of reach. Bondar, 16-4, 30 years of age, 69 inches of reach. Bondar will have a 2-inch reach advantage in this matchup. Carlos Hernandez coming off a loss to Alan Nascimento, who was a very good fighter in that flyweight division. He's actually very big for that division as well, so he pretty much got beaten up pretty badly by Nascimento. I guess he didn't take too much damage realistically, but he got finished relatively early in that matchup. Beat Victor Altamirano. That was a very interesting decision in general. Beating Daniel Barres on the Contender Series. Dennis Bondar on his UFC debut, I believe, snapped his arm or had a really bad arm injury in that one against Malcolm Gordon. Very rough debut a year and 4 months ago. I'm going to go with Dennis Bondar. I think he's really good on the ground. I think he can get Carlos Hernandez on the ground. He has some really nasty ground and pound. Really nasty ground and pound. He has some really nice elbows from the top position. I think he's going to be able to control Hernandez on the ground as well. Maybe look for a submission. I wouldn't say he's on Nascimento's level, but I think he's really good on the ground. 64% for Hernandez here. I guess I'm getting another underdog. It is close to evens. Maybe it might change towards the end of the week, but I think Dennis Bondar is a very good fighter, and I think he'll show it a little bit more. Maybe this one's a little bit closer of a decision if it does go to a decision, maybe 29-28, but maybe Bondar does get the finish on the ground here. I think it could pretty much go either way with a finish or a decision here, but I am going to go with Bondar. So I'm going to say Bondar late round finish by ground and pound, I'll say. I think he just lands too many shots and Carlos Hernandez just covers up a little bit more. I wouldn't say there'd be too much damage on the ground, but I think the output of damage in general, I think, will be a little bit too much for Hernandez. And I think Bondar will win this one by late round finish. Up the card, we have Kyung versus Christian Quinonez. Kyung, 18-8, 35 years of age, 73 inches of reach. Quinonez, 18-3, 27 years of age, 70 inches of reach. Kyung Ho Kang will have a 3-inch reach advantage in this matchup. Kyung Ho Kang, last fight was 10 months ago against Bakary Dana, because they changed the names now, so I had to say that way. But lost to Ronnie Yaya by decision. And then I'm not going to try and say that one. Christian Quinonez, last fight was a win over Khalid Taha. Looked really good there. Won by KO and beat Long Zhao by decision as well. I think he hurt Long Zhao in that matchup as well in that one. But I am going to go with Christian Quinonez. Kyung Ho Kang is good. He's a really nice jab. Works off the legs a little bit more with the leg kicks. Kind of sets that up more. But even Bakary Dana was able to get past the jab, and I think Christian Quinonez, 27 years of age, 35 years of age for Kyung Ho Kang, almost 36 as well. I think Christian Quinonez is very vicious on the feet, has a lot of power in his hands, and I think he's going to be able to get past the jab. I think he's got a good team around him, and I think he's going to be able to get it done, maybe by KO. Kyung Ho Kang has a good chin, but I can just see Quinonez maybe hurting him a little bit too much, and maybe rocks him a little bit more, puts him down to his knees, and kind of just TKOs him with output, just with too many shots at the end of the day. But I can also see this one going to decision, maybe 29-28 as well. But I think finish for Quinonez in the late second round for this one. I'm going to go Christian Quinonez by finish. Up the card, we have Jimmy Flick versus Alessandro Costa. Flick, 16-6, 32 years of age, 70.5 inches of reach. Costa, 12-3, 27 years of age, 67 inches of reach. Flick will have a 3.5-inch reach advantage in this matchup. Jimmy Flick in his last matchup lost to Charles Johnson by KO about 3 months ago. Alessandro Costa lost to Amir Albazi by KO as well. But for Alessandro Costa, I don't know did he come in on short notice in this match? I'm not too sure, but did beat Andres Luna Martinetti on the Contender Series, looked decent there. But against Amir Albazi, he looked really well in that first round. And he's doing really well against Amir Albazi, who I guess the judges thought beat Kai Kara France. Let's be real, I don't think he beat him, but at least made it interesting in that fight, at least, maybe. I don't know if you can even say that. But Alessandro Costa looked good early on in that fight against Amir Albazi. Jimmy Flick just lost to Charles Johnson by KO. I think Alessandro Costa has a really good hands. I don't know why I'm calling him Costa, but he has really good hands, really solid on the ground as well. I think he beats up Jimmy Flick pretty badly. 32 years of age for both of them, or not for both of them. Alessandro Costa is 27 years of age, 32 years of age for Flick. But I think Costa hits up Flick very badly. I think he does enough on the ground to avoid some of the bad spots that Jimmy Flick could get him in. I think he ends up KOing Jimmy Flick in this matchup. Same with 76% of Tapology, 79% within that. I think KO as well. So I'm going to go first round KO for Alessandro Costa. I think he just pieces up Jimmy Flick. Maybe second round KO, but I think he gets the finish in this matchup. Up the card, we have Johnny Barcelos versus Miles Johns. Barcelos, 17-4, 36 years of age, 67 inches of reach. Johns, 13-2, 29 years of age, 66 inches of reach. Barcelos will have a 1-inch reach advantage in this matchup. Johnny Barcelos coming off a very brutal knockout against Umar Nurmagomedov. Before then, beat Trevin Jones by decision. Lost to Victor Henry, which was kind of a rough loss at this point. Victor Henry looked really good in that matchup, but hasn't really looked that well since then. I thought he was going to actually do really well against, I wouldn't say well, but I thought he was going to definitely be a test against Umar Nurmagomedov, and he just got pretty much laid out cold. So, beat Timur Valiev by decision. Timur Valiev is now on The Ultimate Fighter. So, how much can you really take too much out of these losses in general? Beat Khalid Taha. Miles Johns coming off a win over Vince Morales, who's no longer in the UFC. Beat lost to John Castaneda by submission. Beat Anderson Dos Santos by KO. Beat Kevin Natividad by KO. And then lost to Mario Batista by KO. So, I was really hesitant making this pick in all honesty. Because Johnny Barcelos I thought was really good until 2 years happened, and in retrospect everything kind of looks a little interesting now. But 3 years ago he had some really good wins over like the likes of Saeed Nurmagomedov and stuff like that. So, but he is 36 years old now, 29 years of age for Miles Johns. Miles Johns does have a good wrestling base, so did Umar, and he kind of set up the KO that way as well. Miles Johns definitely has some solid hands, but I don't think he's going to be able to hurt Johnny Barcelos. I think Johnny Barcelos is going to come out there having to prove something. I think he's going to be a little bit smarter. Maybe he comes out there aggressive and tries to push Miles Johns a little bit more here. But I think he gets the win. I'm not too confident in it, though. I wouldn't be surprised if Miles Johns gets the upset here as an underdog. But I don't know. I think Johnny Barcelos can get it done. I still kind of think he's up there in like the top 25 range in general, just right outside the rankings. One of the top unranked guys, if you want to put it that way. But I don't know. I'm kind of losing a little bit of faith in Johnny Barcelos at this point. We'll see how he does in this matchup. If he loses to Miles Johns, I think we can kind of correctly put him in a good little slot at this point. But he is getting older, so I am a little worried. I do think Barcelos does win by decision. 69% of Tapology agrees with me there. But again, I think this is going to be a relatively, I don't want to say close matchup, but I think this one could go either way. I'm 60% on Barcelos right now. That's where I'm at. So, Barcelos by decision. Up the card, we have Muslim Salikhov versus Nicolas Dalby. Salikhov, 19-3, 39 years of age, 70 inches of reach. Dalby, 21-4, 38 years of age, 74.5 inches of reach. Dalby will have a 4.5-inch reach advantage in this matchup. Muslim Salikhov's coming off a really good KO over Andre Fialho, who I thought was pretty good, but in retrospect, he's not really getting the wins. He's getting KO'd quite a bit at this point. Lost to Li Jingliang by KO. beat Francisco Trinaldo by decision, beat Olezu Zaleski by split decision, and beat Luranu Starpoli by decision as well. So Nicolas Dalby just beat Worley Alves by split decision. It was a pretty close matchup. Beat Claudio Silva by decision, lost to Tim Means by decision, and beat Daniel Rodriguez by decision. So Nicolas Dalby's kind of an interesting fighter. Also, I don't know. You can never really predict. You can predict, but it's sometimes hit or miss with them. These guys are both kind of older, 39 years of age for Muslim Salikhov, 38 years of age for Nicolas Dalby. I think I am going to go with Salikhov. I think he's going to be better on the feet here. I'm a little worried about the ground game if Nicolas Dalby tries to take him down, but I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue for Salikhov here. I think he's just going to be more unique on the feet. He has good power in his hands. He has some really good kicks as well. It was landing very good kicks on Fialho, and I thought that was a very solid win. So I'm going to go with Muslim Salikhov by decision. 84% of Tapology agrees with me here. 65% by decision as well. So I'm going to go Salikhov by decision. I think he's just going to be a little bit more better on the feet. I think he's got more unique strikes. I think he's a little bit better as well on the feet. So we'll see what happens, but I'm going to go with Salikhov. Up the card, we have Nicolas Mata versus Manuel Torres. Mata 13-4, 30 years of age, 70.5 inches of reach. Torres 13-2, 28 years of age, 73 inches of reach. Torres will have a 2.5 inch reach advantage in this matchup. Mata just beat Cameron Van Camp, who's not good at all. I don't know. I think I picked him a couple times as well. I don't know why I did, but he just can't take a shot in general. Lost to Jim Miller on his UFC debut. Beat Joseph Lowry on the Contender Series, but Jim Miller, he got knocked out pretty brutally, and Jim Miller's kind of, I don't want to say the gatekeeper, but he kind of just, I guess you can say gatekeeper. He controls the prospects coming in, and he kind of just gets to decide just based on that performance how he does against some of these prospects coming in. If you beat Jim Miller, then you're one of the guys that'll probably be higher up in the unranked area. But Mata, I guess the jury's kind of still out on him a little bit more. We haven't seen too much of him. Like you face Jim Miller and then you face Cameron Van Camp. Well, let's find the middle area, and I think we kind of find that in this matchup. Manuel Torres coming off a KO against Frank Camacho by right hook, beat Colton England by KO strikes. That sounded very weird, but I'm going to go with Manuel Torres in the first round in this one. I think it's going to be a really big scrap here, but I think Mata getting knocked out by Jim Miller, I think Torres has some really good hands, has some really good power in his hands, and I think he KOs him. 28 years of age as well, so he's a younger fighter, does have the longer reach here. I think he gets this one done by finish in the first round by KO. 85% agree with me. 81% within that 85 say KO as well, and I'm assuming in the first round. So I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Torres in the first round by KO for this matchup. I think the power's just going to be too much for Mata. Mata does have a very solid chance in this matchup, but I think Torres 13-2. I think he's just gonna hurt Mata in this one. If he's getting KO'd by Jim Miller, who is a little bit older as well, but does have some good power in his hands, I think Manuel Torres will be able to take care of Mata in this matchup. Up the card, we have Pat Sabatini versus Lucas Almeida. Sabatini 17-4, 32 years of age, 70 inches of reach. Almeida 14-1, 32 years of age, 71 inches of reach. Almeida will have a 1 inch reach advantage in this matchup. Oh, this one should be pretty interesting. Pat Sabatini just lost to Damon Jackson, which I picked Pat Sabatini. I knew he was kind of chinny in general, but when I saw Damon Jackson walk out there, I think his brother died or something. I was like, all right, he's losing now. Chinny Sabatini's just going to get caught early or whatever, and that's pretty much what happened. Got caught early. Damon Jackson was able to take his back and pretty much just finish him from that position. Lucas Almeida has a lot of power in his hands, though, and is very fast on the feet. Isn't that great on the ground, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I can trust Sabatini in this matchup after that Damon Jackson one. Minus 185 favorite here. I think Lucas Almeida has a lot of power and is very fast on the feet. And I think Almeida is going to be ready for Sabatini, but Sabatini just has to be worried about getting clipped by Almeida pretty early in this matchup. So I think if you're choosing Almeida here, I think first round KO might be the way to go here. But Sabatini, if he had a decent chin in general, I think he would actually be really good. I think he'd probably be ranked. He has all the talent in the world, but he just gets hurt way too much and just ends up getting finished that way. So I won't say that too much because he is 17-4, but you saw against Damon Jackson got hurt almost immediately, and Damon Jackson doesn't have insane power like Lucas Almeida. So I think Almeida gets this one done. 32% agree with me on that one, 68% for Sabatini, which I think it's probably the right choice. I think it's probably a very safe choice, but I'm going to go with Almeida. I think he ends up hurting Sabatini in this one, 69% by KO for Almeida in this matchup. I don't see how maybe Almeida has more tricks to his game, and for some reason Sabatini wants to stand up with them, but if they're standing, I think Almeida gets the KO because I don't trust Sabatini's chin, and that's why I'm choosing Almeida in this one. So I'm going to go Almeida by first round. Maybe second round KO if he gets taken down towards the end of there, but I don't know. Sabatini's really good on the ground, so he might sub him in the first round. But I think Lucas Almeida hits him first. Sabatini probably shoots in for a bad takedown, and I think Almeida just finishes him up on the ground. So I'm gonna go Lucas Almeida first round KO. Off the card, we have Christian Leroy Duncan versus Arman Tsarukyan. Duncan 8-0, 27 years of age, 79 inches of reach. Petrosian 7-2, 32 years of age, 71 inches of reach. Duncan will have an 8-inch reach advantage in this matchup, so a really, really big reach advantage here. I think Christian Leroy Duncan is coming in on short notice here. Let me actually check real quick. What was the original matchup? It was supposed to be, actually it's not shown here, but I think this was a short notice matchup. I may actually be wrong though. I may be wrong, but I think I'm gonna go with Christian Leroy Duncan. He's very athletic. Really good prospect, I believe, coming out of London, out of the Cage Warrior system. So made his debut against Dusko Todorovic. I think it kind of just ended by injury there, but he was looking really good in that matchup. Petrosian is very good on the feet, but I think Christian Leroy Duncan is very solid all around, very good athlete, 27 years of age, 32 years of age for Petrosian. I think he's going to be able to mix in some of the takedowns, and he has really good power in his hands, very athletic. Again, very, very, very athletic. You can kind of see it with him. He's in the middleweight division as well, so I think he's going to do very good in the middleweight division in general because there's not too many great prospects. I think you're kind of seeing them rise up a little bit more here, but again, right now, middleweight's kind of open for some of these more athletic guys to come in there and do well. But Christian Leroy Duncan, I think, gets this one done by decision. Maybe he's looking for a finish here. He could finish him. 77% are saying Duncan here, which I think Petrosian is very good on the feet, so I don't know with how many people are picking him here, but again, Duncan's a very good prospect. Minus 155 favorite here, which I think is probably about right for this matchup. 55% say Duncan by KO. Petrosian, we've seen him lose to Cal Barajo on the ground, which is really the only deficiency we've really seen out of him is when guys take him to the ground and kind of control him there, but he's really good on the feet. We'll see what happens here. I think Duncan wins by decision. Maybe he does get the finish, though. Up the card, we have Arman Tsarukyan versus Joaquim Silva. Tsarukyan, 19-3, 26 years of age, 72.5 inches of reach. Silva, 12-3, 34 years of age, 69 inches of reach. Tsarukyan will have a 3.5-inch reach advantage in this matchup. Tsarukyan coming off of a very good win over Damir Ismagulov, looked really good in wrestling. Lost to Mateusz Gamrot, which I thought he won, in all honesty, in a 5-round fight. That is actually one of my favorite fights, with I think probably last year as well. Probably like in that top 5 area because we had some really good fights last year in all actuality. Way better than this year so far. So we'll see what happens this year within fights. But beat Yoel Alvarez by KO on the ground. Beat Christos Giagos on the ground, or not on the ground, by KO. And then beat Matt Frivola by decision. Joaquim Silva coming off a win over Jesse Ronson by KO. This is where it's kind of at. I don't know why this fight's necessarily being made. I guess people are not wanting to fight Arman Tsarukyan at this point. Number 59, Joaquim Silva in the world versus number 8, Arman Tsarukyan in the world, according to Tapology here. I don't know if these are the UFC rankings because I don't know too much about this thing in general, but we'll see. Yeah, I think it's pretty much accurate with the UFC rankings, I want to say. I don't know if this is Tapology rank because I don't have the actual rankings off the top of my head, but minus 1,000 favorite for Tsarukyan, only 26 years old as well. I think he takes down Joaquim Silva, who's 34 years of age, takes him down, kind of just beats him up on the ground, brutalizes him. I think he wins by KO on top of him, maybe first or second round TKO, which is ground and pound in general. I just see him winning by finish. Tsarukyan, please win this matchup. Do not underestimate this dude, because I guess Joaquim Silva kind of has a chance, but it's not a very big one, which is why Tsarukyan's a minus 1,000 favorite here. 99% are choosing Arman Tsarukyan in this one. Probably the most votes out of any anyone I see on here, 1% are choosing Silva, which are maybe, I guess, hoping for something lucky here, or they just kind of just wanted to pick it because no one else is. But I think Tsarukyan wins this one, probably by ground and pound, just controls him on the ground and beats him up there, finishes him off. It would be nice to see Arman Tsarukyan fight. Hopefully, maybe they can make that Beneil Dariush matchup next. I really want to see that matchup. I think it would be a really good matchup for Tsarukyan as well. So let's move on. Up the card, we have Marvin Vettori versus Jared Cannonier. Vettori, 19-5, 29 years of age, 74 inches of reach. Cannonier, 16-6, 39 years of age, 77.5 inches of reach. Cannonier will have a 3.5 inch reach advantage in this matchup. Marvin Vettori, coming off a win over Roman Dolidze by decision, lost to Robert Whittaker by decision. Pretty much got beaten up pretty badly in that matchup. Whittaker just outclassed him on the feet. Even Marvin Vettori had like nothing after that. He couldn't even say he won, because you know how Marvin Vettori is after those matchups. He thought he beat Israel Adesanya. Beat Paulo Costa in a pretty close decision there. Lost to Israel Adesanya in the second fight, and then beat Kevin Holland by decision. Jared Cannonier coming off a split decision win over Sean Strickland. I thought Sean Strickland won that fight. Lost to Israel Adesanya, made it close with him though towards the end. A lot of people kind of just turned off the television during that fight because it was kind of boring, but I thought Adesanya won it 3-2 in that matchup. He beat Derek Brunson by KO, beat Kelvin Gastelum by decision, lost to Robert Whittaker by decision. In this one, I think I'm going to go with Marvin Vettori. I think if you're Jared Cannonier, I wouldn't say, like, I like Sean Strickland, but I think I'll probably edge it to Marvin Vettori if you're going who's the better striker there. I think he's a little bit more cleaner with his punches. His striking is getting a little bit better. Only 29 years of age, too, so he's definitely improving. Has a much better chin than Sean Strickland, so I don't know if the damage is going to show as much as it would on a Sean Strickland with the power that Jared Cannonier does have, which Jared Cannonier, in all actuality, Marvin Vettori, since that Robert Whittaker fight, has kind of showed, like, I thought he was going to get KO'd by Robert Whittaker in that third round, because honestly, I had to bet on Vettori that he was going to, or a Whittaker that he's going to take it and win it by decision, but he hurt Vettori very badly with some of those head kicks, and it looked like he was hurting, like he was going to crack the chin. Same thing with Roman Dolidze. I thought that was a very close decision as well. And Roman Dolidze definitely got a decent reaction out of Marvin Vettori in that matchup, because Dolidze has a lot of power in his hands as well. But I think in this matchup, 5 rounds, I think Vettori mixes in the takedowns and keeps Jared Cannonier guessing in this match, and I think he wins by decision. I think his chin is going to hold up here. I don't think he's going to react too badly to the shots, and I think that will go well with the judges. I think it'll be 48-47. Maybe Cannonier wins the earlier rounds or something, or maybe they mix a match here. I don't know. I think it's going to be a relatively close fight, but I am going to go with Vettori. Stronger chin, more durable, better on the feet. I wouldn't say better on the feet than Cannonier in general, but I think better on the feet than Strickland. I thought Strickland beat Cannonier, so. And Strickland is very sloppy on the feet, and I think Vettori's just going to be solid. He's not going to go out of his boundaries. I think he's going to mix in the takedowns. I think he's going to look solid. Tapology has 80% for Vettori here, 90% by decision. I think it will be a decent scrap. Jared Cannonier, I don't know. He has the power in his hands, but after the Strickland one, I don't know too much. Even though Marvin Vettori lost to Robert Whittaker, which is fine, but made it kind of close with Dolidze. Dolidze had a lot of power in his hands, and he's kind of just spamming overhands, and Vettori couldn't really do much, but he did end up winning the decision there. I think Vettori does well in this one, 48-47 win for Marvin Vettori. Let me know who you guys have in the comments down below in this matchup. Let me know what you guys think of the card in general, and I'll see you guys next time.